Alright, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of War Machines. So, to kind of recap what has been going on so far, basically, we are in part 2 of the first bracket of 2 that will eventually lead up to 5 robots getting wildcard spots into the grand final to join the 11 that have confirmed their spots already. We started off the last time with 16 robots, the 10 robots who were awarded 3rd place in their semifinal episode, and the 6 robots who were awarded 4th place that were chosen to get to this point. We started off with 16, as I said, and we are now down to 8 robots left in this one. So, let's go ahead and check out who is left, and check out the current bracket right now, and see the fights that we will start out the night with. Okay, so as I said, we are down to 8, and 6 of these robots will be advancing to the second bracket that will eventually lead up to those 5 wildcard spots that I mentioned already here. And so, kind of at the top here, the 1-seeded Shrederator is still very much in it after destroying Fhqwhs in their first round matchup. They'll be taking on Big Nipper, who managed to out-survive Beta in a pretty close showdown. Then on the other side of that, we have the number 2-seeded Beast 2, who is still in it, who used that powerful flipper to plow their way past Steel Avenger in their first round matchup. And taking on Beast 2 will be the 10-seeded Micro, who dealt with the higher-seeded Tsunami in their first round matchup with that overhead saw and that powerful scoop. That ought to be a good one coming later, as is the first one. Then right down below, where a lot happened in that third quadrant right there, as both underdogs advanced after the last episode. Eric, the 14-seeded, who outflipped the number 3-seeded Chronic in order to advance to this point. And taking on Eric will be the 11-seeded Aftershock, and with their nasty vertical spinners. Aftershock has to be one of the deadliest spinners in this bracket remaining, and one of the deadliest spinners in this competition. But Shrederator is definitely up there too. Then over in the fourth quadrant, the highest seed in their Bullfrog, still very much in it with that powerful flipper who dealt with Lucid Dream, a horizontal spinner, in their first round matchup, and they'll be taking on another horizontal spinner in the full body spinner of Megabyte. So yeah, those will be the first 4 matchups, but maybe not in that order exactly for tonight. The plan is to complete this bracket. We will find out which 6 of these 8 robots will be advancing to the second bracket, which will start up next week, which that bracket will feature the 10 robots who were the runner-up in their semifinal episodes. Basically, all 10 semifinals, whoever was awarded second place will all be placed in that bracket, and the 6 robots joining them will be the top 6 from this bracket. Even though, like for example, the winners of these 4 matchups will be confirmed a spot, we're going to continue to play out this bracket, because whoever performs the best in this bracket will get a much higher seed in that bracket, and that could definitely help them greatly when they take on lots of the big names that are already confirmed to be in that bracket. So yeah, I think lots of you guys are here for the fights. Let's go ahead and get started with the fights then. We're going to go down to the 4th quadrant. We're going to lead it off with the 4-seeded Bullfrog and the 12-seeded Megabyte. So we got a battle of 2 very different robots here, where we got the flipper Bullfrog and the 12-seeded Megabyte. So what this one's going to come down to, Bullfrog for sure is probably going to be trying to box rush Megabyte, prevent that full body spinner from getting up to full speed, launch them up in the air as much as possible, and maybe control board them or something like that, because that's exactly what Beast 2 and Sewer Snake both were able to do to defeat Megabyte in that semifinal, and surely Bullfrog might try the same thing. Megabyte's strategy is probably going to be trying to avoid that flipper as much as possible, because one big problem with Megabyte is their instability right there. It's very possible to send Megabyte out of control and their opponent can control the fight that way. So the best way to avoid that is just avoid the flipper of Bullfrog, but not going to be an easy task. The other thing to watch out for Bullfrog is one problem they did have in their victory against Lucid Dream is mistiming flips right there. That caused them to suffer a lot of big hits from Lucid Dream, and Megabyte's definitely going to be less forgiving than Lucid Dream, for sure. Regardless though, this should be a great matchup to lead it off, and let's go ahead and get right to it. Time for this matchup to begin here. Both robots being in the middle. Bullfrog nearly had an opportunity, nearly another opportunity, but mistimed both times there. And now Megabyte getting underneath, landing a few hits of that spinner. There's a first flip by Bullfrog right there, taking a few glancing blows. Another nice flip from Bullfrog there. But Megabyte's landing right side up. Nice flip from Bullfrog, but Megabyte lands right side up once again, and landing a couple glancing blows to Megabyte. How much damage are they doing to Bullfrog? Bullfrog seems to be holding up really well so far. Decent flip from Bullfrog, another decent flip. Not the kind of power we're used to seeing from Bullfrog though. Could that flipper been damaged or something like that? A couple more nice flips though, getting Megabyte near the outer arena rails, and they have Megabyte out of the arena! It's looking like Bullfrog is going to advance in this one, but the fight has not been called off yet. Not sure what reason, but Megabyte is surely about to fall here because the countdown is going anyway. Bullfrog is going to be advancing, and we are going to see Bullfrog in the next bracket right there. Pretty well done by Bullfrog, even though Megabyte didn't get the amount of airtime that we were seeing several Bullfrog's other opponents getting. Like, they still played out the fight pretty well, and definitely showed off their durability quite a bit, because they did take quite a few hits from Megabyte's full body spinner in this one, and held up really well, and they were able to get the flips they needed, and eventually got Megabyte out of the arena in order to win this matchup. Bullfrog will be advancing to the top 4. We will see Megabyte again. Megabyte is not out yet, as we will see a rumble later on between the losing 4 robots in here to decide the last 2 spots in the top 16 of the next bracket. So, in the bracket that will debut in the next episode. Great match to lead it off. We got another one coming for you because we're gonna go up to the second quadrant. We're gonna see the 2-seeded Beast 2 who's going to take on the 10-seeded Micro. So yeah, this is going to be another battle of control here, because Beast 2 is almost certainly going to be trying to control the fight with that flipper. Well, on the other hand, Micro is definitely going to be trying to scoop up Beast 2 to where they can drop that saw right on that robot and try to damage them that way. Micro definitely has a lot of experience with flippers because a majority of their opponents so far have been flippers or lifters. So yeah, their strategy is probably not going to change from what their strategy against all those other flipper robots. And Beast 2, definitely going to be a different opponent compared to what we've seen Beast 2 taking on so far. But Beast 2 can definitely handle it because their strategy is probably still going to be the same. Get underneath their opponent, launch them up in the air, because Micro won't be able to do much with that saw if Micro is flying in the air. So yeah, another great matchup should be on the way. Let's go ahead and get right to it and get to this driving match. Time for this matchup to begin, and now Micro challenging the front and ends up going flying in the process there. Decent lift from Beast, nice flip right there from Beast, another nice flip, and Micro being forced to self-right, but Beast is taking them into the corner. Beast compromising very well here, just not giving Micro an inch here. Now Micro gets the breathing room they need, and now looking to try to challenge the sides or something like that. Beast doing a pretty good job of keeping that front towards Micro so far. More beautiful flips from Beast, who's giving Micro some serious airtime. Great start from Beast in this one, and great fight so far. A couple more nice flips from Beast right now. Micro's got to do something. They got to stop challenging the front, because anytime they challenge the front, Beast just sends them flying in the air. They are clearly the lower to the ground robot between the two of them so far. Some great driving from Beast right now, but Micro catches them with a haymaker right there. That saw is grinding right into the bomb and now stuck inside the frame of Beast 2 right there. and now Micro has Beast scooped up. Who would have expected that an attack from the back like that would have helped them get control of Beast too? That was an excellent maneuver from Micro, who now has control of Beast, and now that saw is jammed right into the frame of Beast once again here. Great stuff from Micro, and now Beast self-righting, but now back into the scoop of Micro, and now Micro dropping that saw right onto that flipper right there. We got a pushing battle between these two, but Micro is using that saw very well right now. What a great moment for Micro right there. But now we got smoke coming from somebody. Micro appears to be the one who's smoking. They've had motor issues all season, and we are seeing smoke once again. But how much damage did they do to Beast 2 with that onslaught of attacks with that saw right there? Another nice flip from Beast that almost flipped themselves in the process here. But how about that? Pretty back and forth fight so far. Less than a minute to go here. It's been a very close fight so far. What a fight we are seeing here. This is such a hard-fought fight. Both these robots won a wild card spot into the grand final, and even though there are several more fights they would have to win in order to get that, like, they gotta go through each other. This is a hard-fought match. You gotta take it one step at a time. Less than 30 seconds to go here. Both robots locked together right now here. Now Micro nearly getting a pin right there, and yeah, now Micro scooping up Beast once again while Beast is trying to self-right here and taking Beast into the corner with 5 seconds left to go, and that saw comes off again right there, but it doesn't matter because this fight is going to the judges. What a fight that was, and I definitely would not want to be a judge for this one because this is going to be a close one. So yeah, these judges scores fights based off of damage, aggression, control, weapon usage, all that good stuff here to determine the winner of the fights, and there's a lot to analyze with this one. This one was a really back and forth fight, which is what we like to see here on this show. Beast 2 proved very early on that they are definitely the lower to the ground robot between the two of them, constantly getting underneath Micro and sending them flying with that flipper. But Micro definitely did not back down. We got to see a really impressive maneuver from that robot by catching Beast from the backside there to drop that saw in there and start doing a little bit of damage. I'm not sure how much damage they really did with that saw, but definitely it was some great action from that robot. Some excellent control there. But yeah, I saw two very solid moments, two very solid sets of time between both these robots where they had full control over the other here. So I suspect this is going to be close, but cannot ignore the fact that Micro was smoking for parts of the fight and they lost their saw right at the end there. But regardless though, this is going to be a very close judges decision, and let's find out what the judges had to say because I hear their votes are in. Alright, the judges' votes are in, and we have a split decision. The winner is Micro! I gotta say, that was a close one, but I personally probably would have scored the fight for Beast 2 if I was a judge, but I'm not gonna argue because that was such a close and very hard-fought fight between both robots right there. And I can see the argument why the judges felt Micro took that one. So, yeah. Regardless though, that was a phenomenal fight from both robots, and we'll see Beast 2 once again because they are not out yet, even if people may have thought this decision was controversial or something like that. But yeah, anyway, great fight from both these robots. We'll see both of them at least one more time tonight. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to fight number 3. We're going to go to the top-seeded Shrederator, who's going to take on the 9-seeded Bigper. Yeah, and so Shrederator's plan of attack is probably going to be the same as it usually is. Get to their comfort zone upside down, get that full body spinner up to speed, go to work, and take apart their opponent. Their opponent is Bigper, and Bigper definitely been a little susceptible to control board damage as seen in the past, but definitely not one to underestimate still, though, because Bigper will probably want to try to keep that grabber and lifter to the front of their robot and try to box rush Shrederator. Use that lifter and knock Shrederator off balance, But what they gotta do here, and this was definitely the big mistake that Fhqwhs was making when they took on Shrederator in their last round, is they would succeed at knocking Shrederator off balance, but they would position themselves to where Shrederator hits them right on the top, which was where one of Fhqwhs' most exposed areas. Big Nipper, I would probably say, is most exposed on top too, and so Shrederator could be trying to target that if Big Nipper knocks him off balance. Who knows though? Either way though, Shrederator's objective is going to be to kill Big Nipper. Big Nipper is going to be hoping to control the fight, knock Shrederator off balance that way, and yeah. So, let's go ahead and get right to this one and find out who's going to be taking on Bullfrog in the next round. Time for this next matchup to begin. And now Bullfrog, or I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Bullfrog there, because Bullfrog's not even in this fight, but Big Nipper knocking Shrederator off balance with that lifter right there. That lifter is probably the strongest piece of that robot right there, so they're going to want to try to keep that lifter towards Shrederator right there. But Shrederator managing to get a couple taps on the top right there. That's something to watch out for right there, as Fhqwhs made that mistake a lot in that matchup, and Big Nipper could be in for the same fate if they make the same exact mistake. But right now, knocking Shrederator off balance very well right now with that lifter right there. They're doing a great job of it so far, controlling the fight, but watch that control board right there. Does appear they have been taking some internal damage in the process though. Like, this is a very risky strategy, but if they can pull it off, it'll be all worth it for them. A minute into this fight, I'd probably say Big Nipper is winning so far. I'd say that the underdog is winning so far in this one, but there's still 2 minutes left to go in this fight, and who knows what could happen in that process here. Shrederator is struggling. They need to try to get to the sides or something like that. Maybe pluck a wheel off on Big Nipper or something like that. But Big Nipper's not making that an easy task. And now we got smoke coming from Big Nipper. Big Nipper, those motors are overheating, but the pit's open. Can we see somebody fall down it? Big Nipper flings Shrederator down the pit, and it looks like the 1 seed is going to fall. Wow. The 2 seed fell in the last match, and now the 1 seed is gone too. It's crazy how many matchups we've seen in this bracket so far where the underdog has managed to take out the higher seed. It just shows how much potential a lot of these robots have in these brackets. Like we definitely, several of these robots in here, I could definitely see punching a ticket to the grand final. And yeah, so Big Nipper, definitely their strategy was to control Shrederator as much as possible there, and hopefully knock them out, just because damage really favors Shrederator here. And while Big Nipper does have a damaging weapon, it doesn't really compare to what Shrederator has with that full body spinner. But didn't matter anyway, because Big Nipper opened up the pit with the aid of Shrederator in that process, put them down the pit, and Big Nipper will take on Bullfrog in the next round. Great victory by Big Nipper. We will see Shrederator a little bit later on in the episode. So now coming up next, we're gonna go to two of the lowest seeds left in this bracket over in that third quadrant. We're gonna see the 14-seeded Eric, who's gonna take on the 11-seeded Aftershock. Eric's gonna be trying to control the fight with that flipper, while Aftershock's definitely gonna be trying to cause as much chaos and carnage as possible with those vertical spinners, like what they've already been causing this season. I'd say this fight's definitely gonna come down to who can hold up the best between the two robots, because like Eric's definitely been susceptible to losing parts in this one, and Aftershock's definitely had some weapon reliability problems that have costed them in a couple of their fights, and nearly costed them in some of their other fights. So this one's going to come down to who can hold up the best to the other's punishment. Let's find out, and let's go ahead and get right to this matchup. Alright, time for this matchup to begin. Both robots meeting in the middle here. Eric starting off with an early flip right there. Another nice flip on Aftershock here. Doing a pretty good job controlling the fight so far here. Several early flips from Eric so far. Definitely taking it to the vertical spinner robot. And that sure didn't last long, though. I was about to say Eric dominating so far, but they just lost the flipper right there. And now Aftershock trying to go to work on the fronts and the sides of Eric, but really struggling to get a proper bite on them with those vertical spinners right there. Eric still holding Aftershock back very well. Now Aftershock trying to get to the side. They land a hit on the sides, but not doing much so far. And now Eric has Aftershock high centered. They are underneath Aftershock right now. Aftershock needs to get off there and fast. Both robots had a countdown on them, but they both backed off here. And now Aftershock landing some more hits to the sides. And now Eric pinned in the corner here right now, right up against the rails. And yeah. So right now, 1 minute into this fight, Eric started off strong with some early flips, but then lost that flipper right there. But Aftershock hasn't really been taking advantage of it very well so far. We haven't seen many knockout punches that we've known that Aftershock is so well known for so far in this one, but there's still a lot of time left to go in this one. We're about halfway through this match so far. It's been pretty close so far. I think I'd probably barely say Aftershock, but I could see why some people might think Eric right now. So yeah, minute 20 left to go in this one. And not a lot going so far, but that could very easily change. And Aftershock laying a few more hits to the sides to Eric once again here, trying to push them around. Nice hit, and Eric loses the frame once again! Crap! This is where things went really downhill for them when they took on Electric Boogaloo earlier in the season, and sure enough, Aftershock just ripped off that frame once again and is now really going to work. I think the fight is definitely turned in Aftershock's favor here, and they are now really going to work trying to finish off Eric, but Eric's not going to allow that to happen very easily here. 40 seconds left in this match here, less than a minute to go. Aftershock, I think, has definitely sealed the lead so far, but definitely haven't sealed the match yet, because there's still time for Eric to pull off something, even if they have no weapon and no frame and have a somewhat functional self-riding system, as that robot's going crazy right now. And yeah, Aftershock continuing to land shot after shot, hit after hit. Eric is a survivor. 10 seconds left to go in this one. And is Eric going to survive the full 3 minutes here? Almost got him out of the arena, but this fight is going to the judges. Wow, Eric's sitting right on the edge of the pit there. But gotta give Eric so much credit just for surviving that fight right there. Yeah, so this match going to the judges once again. Started off strong in Eric's favor, landing a few flips, but then they eventually lost that flipper to Aftershock's vertical spinners, resulting in Aftershock starting to go to work. It was a bit of a slow start for Aftershock, managing to land a jab here and there, but then as soon as Eric lost that frame once again, Aftershock really went to work with those vertical spinners, and I'm a bit shocked that Eric survived that fight, but I'm glad they did, because I love Eric, so yeah, let's go ahead and hear what the judges had to say, because I don't think there's really much more to talk about with this fight. So now the judges' votes are in, and we have a unanimous decision. The winner is Aftershock! Yeah, and so the judges definitely favored the damage Aftershock did, and the several amazing moments Aftershock had following the loss of Eric's primary weapon. I give Eric so much credit. A strong start to this fight, and the fact that they survived this match. Like, wow, that was incredible by Eric right there, that they managed to survive that much punishment, even though they definitely have a hefty repair job coming. They do have one more fight coming in this episode, and it will determine whether they're done in the competition, or if they will move on to the next bracket as one of the bottom 2 seeds. So, great fight, great victory by Aftershock, and a pretty good showing from Eric. Let's go ahead and let Eric start repairing that robot up, and let's go ahead and review the bracket for the final 4. So yeah, so as I've kind of hinted at before, we will see the losing robots again: Shrederator, Beast 2, Eric, and Megabyte, where those 4 robots are going to fight it out in a rumble for the last 2 spots in the next bracket, the 15 and the 16 seed. Now, as for the final 4, Big Nipper, Micro, Aftershock, and Bullfrog, who is the new favorite to win right now. These 4 robots are confirmed to be in the next bracket, regardless of their placement here. But we're gonna play it out because a better performance in the bracket will mean a higher seed. So these robots are going to seal the 11, 12, 13, and 14 seeds in that bracket, and based on how well they do in their next 2 matchups, because all 4 of these robots will have 2 fights left in this one, will determine their seed. So let's go ahead and get underway here, as we're going to lead it off with the 10-seeded Micro and the 11-seeded Aftershock for the final 4. So we got two spinners, but 2 pretty different robots. What Micro looks to do is use that scoop right there to scoop up their opponent and then drop that saw right on their opponent in order to cause as much damage as possible. Aftershock is simply try to connect with those vertical spinners and destroy Micro piece by piece in order to take this one. This is going to be a pretty challenging fight for both robots, and let's go ahead and get to this one and find out who's going to win the first match in the final 4. Time for this matchup to begin, and Aftershock landing some early hits to the front and getting underneath Micro and already removing a fork there. Aftershock going to work right now with that vertical spinner, trying to deal out as much damage as possible, and the other fork is gone too. Micro has landed a few jabs with the saws, but I don't think it compares to the damage Aftershock is doing so far, because Micro has lost their ground game here. Off comes the front armor piece on Micro, and off comes their saw as well. Aftershock really going to work with that vertical spinner, taking apart Micro piece by piece here. This is hard to watch. Aftershock kind of needed a little bit of a redeemer after they had a very slow start in the fight with Eric. Micro nearly had a moment, but Aftershock used their maneuverability to turn towards Micro, and now they're going for wheels. They have already removed one-sided drive, but Aftershock's taking a few hits from the floor flipper here. Off comes another set of wheels. Micro has 1 set of wheels left and a barely functional control board right now. I think Micro is going to fall in this round. And now Aftershock has Micro in the corner here, and just relentless, taking apart that front, and there goes that last set of wheels right there. That's going to be it for Micro unless Aftershock does something really stupid here. Man, Micro really struggling right now, and now Aftershock taking them into the corner right now, and finish off Micro right there. That was a devastating KO, and what a statement victory by Aftershock, who surely plugged fear into the entire competition after what they did to Micro right there. That's what I call a repeat of like Bite Force and Whiplash or something like that, because as soon as Aftershock got underneath Micro for the first time, they were relentless. Took out the 2 forks on Micro that they would use to scoop up their opponent, then took apart the front, took off the saw, then went for some wheels, plugged those off, and then finished off their control board in order to win this one. That was a merciless victory by Aftershock, and Micro surely is going to have a hefty repair job to do. They got at least 2 more fights coming here, because they will have a 3rd place match coming, where they'll take on the loser of our next match in order to determine whether they'll have the 13 or the 14 seed. But I got confidence Micro can do it, because they've had some big repair jobs so far this season, and they performed very well here. Aftershock will be moving on to tonight's final, where they look to earn the highest seed between any robot that has fought in this bracket, looking to move on to the next one. So, great victory by Aftershock, and let's move on to our other Final 4 matchup, which features the favorite to win this bracket, the 4-seeded Bullfrog, who's going to take on the 9-seeded Big Nipper. So yeah, Big Nipper's taken out 2 higher seeds so far in Beta and Shrederator through controlling the fight with that lifter. They're up against another big control bot here in Bullfrog, who has taken out 2 horizontal spinners in Lucid Dream and Megabyte to get to this spot. So this one's gonna be a big driving match, I feel, because whoever's gonna be able to get underneath the other and flip them as much as possible is almost certainly gonna be the one to win this fight. So So yeah, a lot is on the line in this fight, and let's find out who's going to be the one to out-control the other and manage to make it to tonight's final with Aftershock, or find out who's going to have a date with Micro in tonight's third place match. Let's go ahead and get right to this showdown because we got another good one coming. Time for this matchup to begin, and now Big Nipper is starting to get underneath Bullfrog. Might have the lower ground, but Bullfrog now underneath with the aid of the spikes there. Gotta watch out for those arena hazards right there. And now Big Nipper is starting to get underneath Bullfrog here, and all that good stuff here. They're pretty good back and forth showdown here, and now Big Nipper taking Bullfrog around the arena with that lifter here. I said this fight was going to be a driving war between these two robots, and that's exactly what we are seeing here. Nice flip from Bullfrog right there, and now here we go. Big Nipper getting sent flying once again here. Both robots off to a phenomenal start here. And now both robots on the chase. Nice flip from Bullfrog. The most airtime we've seen them give anyone so far in this episode here. Nice flip right there from Bullfrog once again. Another nice flip from Bullfrog. Great fight so far, or early on here. Big Nipper kind of on the chase here. Getting underneath, landing a few lifts, but not very much action here. Bullfrog's definitely had the stronger control moments, but I would say Big Nipper's controlled a little more of the fight so far. Yeah, amazing driving from both robots so far. Both robots getting some excellent moments here, but right now it's Big Nipper getting underneath Bullfrog here. Bullfrog struggling to find an answer. Nice flip from Big Nipper and a nice self-right from Bullfrog that flips Big Nipper in the process. Yes, we are halfway through this fight. This fight's been about dead even between these two robots in my mind. Like, I don't know who's winning this one so far, but it's been close. And we like to see that here on this show. Big Nipper getting to the backside of Bullfrog once again. Nice flip from Bullfrog once again. Another nice flip where they're taking Big Nipper to the arena rails here and getting them in the corner here. Nice flip once again. Keep an eye on that control board though right there. It does appear it's been taking some damage, at least on Big Nipper's end. Bullfrog seems to be holding up very well to all the lifting, but Big Nipper not so much, at least so far. Less than a minute to go in this fight. This one's been one back and forth showdown here. And once again, here comes Big Nipper taking Bullfrog into the rails here. Bullfrog trying to self-right in order to get out of there right now, but Big Nipper's not allowing that to happen right now. Now, great stuff here. A little over 30 seconds to go. Let's find out if Big Nipper can hang in there for just a little bit longer, take this fight to the judges. But it doesn't matter because Big Nipper is just control boarded by Bullfrog's flipper, and Bullfrog will be the one to take this fight. Wow, that was a great showdown between these two robots right there. Back and forth between the two flipper robots, right? Flipper and lifter robots right there. Two big control bots. And yeah, regardless though, that was incredible what we were seeing right there. So yeah. I knew this one was going to come down to possibly who can outdrive the opponent, but I didn't think there was going to be a KO. I thought this one was going to go straight to the judges. But you never want to let a fight, especially one this close, go to the judges. And Bullfrog prevented that from happening. Big Nipper was definitely vulnerable control board wise. And Bullfrog took advantage of that very well, and they will be the one moving on to the next round. We'll see Bullfrog take on Aftershock in tonight's final. Big Nipper is going to have a date with Micro in the third place match. So, yeah, another fantastic showdown. Let's go ahead and review the bracket. So, tonight's final, taking the 11 and the 12 seed in the bracket that we will be starting next week. And by the way, I will plan on revealing the bracket at the end of this video. So, yeah. And then right below in the other matchup section, we'll have tonight's third place match, which will feature Big Nipper and Micro. But before we get to that one, let's just determine the 15 and the 16 seed. We'll just go from the bottom up to the top, basically. We're going to start off with a rumble between the four robots who lost in the first round of tonight's episode, or technically the second round of this bracket. Basically, Shrederator, Megabyte, Beast2, and Eric will all face off. We got two flippers and two full-body spinners here. The idea of this bracket is the top two will advance to the next bracket. but then we'll let the fight play out, at least if we need to, if it eventually gets down to 2 robots. I don't know how this fight's gonna go. Oh, but yeah, if we do get down to 2 robots eventually at one point, we're just gonna let those 2 fight it out, because the winning robot will be awarded the 15 seed. Whoever is awarded second place, whether if there's 2 robots left, they're still in there, or if we have a judge's decision with as many as all 4 of these robots left, whoever's awarded second place will get the 16 seed, and will take on the favorite to win that bracket. But you gotta imagine that's gonna be a big name, so you probably want the 15 seed a little more, even though that one's probably gonna be a big name too. So, yeah, there's a lot on the line here for this one. The winning 2 robots will advance to the bracket that we will start in the next episode. The 2 losing robots will be done for the competition here. So like I said, a lot on the line, and I think let's go ahead and get to this rumble and find out who's going to be the robots to advancing to the next bracket. Alright, time for this matchup to begin here, and Megabyte landing a very early hit there on Shrederator. Beast 2 landing a huge flip on Shrederator. Megabyte and Eric going at it while Beast 2 is tossing Shrederator around right now. Looks like Shrederator wants to go for Beast 2 wants to go for what's probably the biggest flipper. Eric got involved in the action and got what was probably the biggest flip I've ever seen that robot land. But now Eric is smoking right now while Shrederator is spinning out of control. Eric taking on Shrederator right now. Shrederator is now at their comfort zone, like what they probably want right now, while Beast 2 is tossing Megabyte around right now. Eric loses the flipper right now and clashing with Eric, trying to do more damage. Beast 2 out of the corner of my eye just flipped Megabyte out of the arena right there. And Beast 2 flips Eric aside and is now taking on Shrederator. Laying a few more nice flips, and Shrederator is gone too! Okay, so now we have our top 2 here. Eric and Beast 2 will officially be moving on to the next bracket. Once again, as the 15 and 16 seed, depending on who wins this fight here. So we got a little more than a minute into this fight, and Beast 2 is already out of the arena. 2 robots so far. And are they going for 3? Yes! They have, and Beast 2 will officially be advancing to this one. Wow. How about that from Beast 2? Like, almost like a minute 20. They got 3 out of the arenas right there. First dealt with Megabyte, then dealt with Shrederator, who damaged Eric enough to where Beast 2 wasn't going to have too much trouble with getting underneath Eric and eventually tossing Eric out of the arena. And Beast 2 will seal the 15 seed. And since Eric did get second place in this one, Eric is not out yet. They will be awarded the 16 seed. Gotta imagine that these 2 are going to be taking on some pretty big names. But I definitely feel these 2 robots can do it, because they definitely have shown they have the potential to do it so far. So we'll find out later in this episode who they will be taking on next time. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the 3rd place match, where we're going to have the 9-seeded Big Nipper, who's going to take on the 10-seeded Micro. This one's going to be another battle for control. Battle between the lifter of Big Nipper and the scoop and the saw of Micro, which has been very effective so far. So yeah, I suspect this one's definitely going to be another one where it's going to come down to basically who can control the fight better between the 2 robots, and whoever succeeds at that, I feel, is going to be the one to win this fight. But regardless, though, it should be a great one, and I'd say let's go ahead and get right to this one. Time for this matchup to begin, and now clashing head-on very early on, and Micro dropping that saw very early on, right onto that grabber right there. That has proven to be the most sturdy part of the bot, but now Micro has a big pin right there on Big Nipper right there and sawing into the bottom of that robot right now. How much damage are they doing so far? Looks like Big Nipper holding up very well to it so far. But now Micro scooping up Big Nipper once again, proving the effectiveness of that scoop right there and dropping that saw right onto the top of Big Nipper right now. Great stuff from Micro, great driving very early on. just proving that when that scoop gets underneath you, you're going to have some problems. But now Big Nipper getting a few lips in right there. Definitely what they need to try to go for here before Micro starts dealing more and more damage here. But now they are being driven right into the rails once again. Scooped up for a second or third time this match right now. Oh, great start here. And now Micro dropping that saw again, doing an overhead attack like a Whiplash sometimes does with their vertical spinner. But now Micro trying to catch Big Nipper by the sides once again, and now they have Big Nipper pinned, but not in the range where they can drop that saw once again. So, but now Big Nipper trying to catch a side, and we got smoke coming from Micro once again. That motor overheating problem is still there for Micro clearly, and yeah, and now the floor flipper lifts Big Nipper up and gets him right back onto that scoop right there. Great driving tactic by Micro, who's now dropping that saw right onto the top of Big Nipper again here. This is some very key moments and some very key damage right there. They're being dealt by Micro. But once again here, who is now looking to get another pin, pinning them right up against the pit tire and dropping that saw once again here, right onto that grabber it looks like, at least. Trying to saw into the internals, but so far it looks like they have been doing some control board damage, but not quite there, or at least getting very close to, regardless, so. Yeah, and now Micro getting another lift right there, and Big Nipper counters that pretty well with that weapon. We're hitting the 30-second mark. Has been a great fight, and taking Big Nipper into another corner is Micro, who loses a saw right there. Could that have been a very key and very damaging moment right there? And Big Nipper, they need to take advantage of that, but they are on the scoop of Micro once again, who's proving that they can still very easily control the fight, even if they don't have a weapon like that. They proved that time and time again, and they're doing that again right now, who's taking Big Nipper into the rails, where we got 3 seconds left, and this fight is going to the judges for the third judge's decision of the night here. Man, that was great right there, and we love to see so many fights like that once again. Micro definitely proving why they are definitely one of the best controlled robots here, at least with that scoop and that saw, being able to provide those control points very well. And they sure showed that here with several dominating moments there, but cannot excuse some of Big Nipper's small moments as well as the fact that Micro had most of the damage caused was done towards Micro right there. We saw them smoking very early on, showing that those motors were overheating, and we did see them lose that saw once again. So that's some big points for Big Nipper right there. So I suspect this could be a very much a closer judge's decision than what a lot of people might be imagining. But regardless though, let's hear what the judges had to say about this one. So now the judges' votes are in, and we have a unanimous decision. The winner is Micro! Kind of as I expected there. I kind of was betting Micro was going to take that one, who was so dominant throughout most of this match. But regardless though, Big Nipper is still in the next bracket. It's just they'll be seated one spot lower than Micro in it, and can't wait to see who both these robots take on for their next matchup. We will see them both next time, but we'll see that bracket at the end of the next episode. But before we see that bracket, we got one last fight to determine, and it is the final for this bracket. We will see Aftershock, who is going to take on Bullfrog in this one. And so then Aftershock, with those two nasty vertical spinners right there, they are going to take on Bullfrog here. Bullfrog taking on a lot of experience with spinners so far this season, taking on Barbers, PP3D, Lucid Dream, and Megabyte. They're going to be taking on another vert here. The only other vertical spinner they've taken on so far this season is Barbers. But they got Aftershock here, who's definitely proven to be a ruthless vertical spinner. Just look at their last fight. So yeah, like this is probably gonna be a great showdown here between these two robots, and I cannot wait to see it. So I'd say let's just get right to this fight right now, because I think what's gonna come down to is who can hold up the best to the other's attacks here. Alright, time for this final to begin. And now Aftershock getting a few hits to the sides of Bullfrog right there. Challenging the front a little bit, ends up landing a flip as Bullfrog right there. And Aftershock flipping Bullfrog a couple times with those vertical spinners right there. But Bullfrog holding up very well to the punishment so far. But what about Aftershock, who just lost one of their vertical spinners, is now taking flip after flip from Bullfrog right there. Aftershock, sorry to suffer from those weapon reliability problems that we've been seeing all season here, and Bullfrog taking advantage of that very well so far. Landing flip after flip on Aftershock here, and Aftershock's really going to struggle if they can't get something going. They are continuing to spin up that one weapon right there, even though they are off balance right now. Would it maybe be wise to turn off that spinner there and try to control the fight? Try to outdrive a Bullfrog. But they lose that other vertical spinner, so now they have no choice, and Bullfrog flips Aftershock over. A couple more nice flips right there. Both robots challenging the front here, but Aftershock takes a flip from the floor flipper and another flip from Bullfrog here. And now Bullfrog has a flipped over Aftershock pinned right now. Could this be it for Aftershock right now? I don't see movement from either robots, but there's a countdown going on. Aftershock here is going to be counted out first here. But I see slight movement from Aftershock. Looks like that weapon pulley or something like that is giving them enough movement to avoid the countdown. This is allowed in War Machines. Not that it's going to help Aftershock at all, because I think this fight is most likely going to go to Bullfrog. Otherwise, he could have some serious controversy. And maybe I should revise the rules for next season on that. But regardless, though, now we got no movement from Aftershock once again. Same thing with Bullfrog. Aftershock slightly moving through that weapon pulley once again here, but Aftershock not moving now, and Aftershock looks like they're going to be counted out here. It's looking like Bullfrog is going to win this bracket, win the highest seed between the robots that will be in the next bracket, and all that good stuff. Aftershock has now been counted out, and Bullfrog wins the 11th seed in the next bracket, while Aftershock will be one seed lower. That was a fantastic brawl. It's very early on. We were seeing a couple lifts from Bullfrog here and there, but several devastating hits from Aftershock. But Bullfrog held up very well to those shots, and eventually Aftershock kind of beat itself a little bit. We saw those weapon reliability problems come back to haunt Aftershock, resulting in them losing those weapons for the entirety of the match. And Bullfrog took advantage of that very well, and took advantage of them not being able to self-right when flipped over, and won the fight that way. So yeah, Bullfrog's going to be, we'll see both robots in the next bracket, but Bullfrog is going to have the highest seed between the 6 robots that made it there. Okay, so now that bracket concludes, and now we know that Bullfrog, Aftershock, Bigper, Micro, Beast 2, and Eric, those 6 robots being the top 6 in this bracket, they are going to go to the next bracket. This bracket we are going to start next week, and this bracket will determine the 5 wildcard spots. And awaiting these 6 robots are the 10 robots awarded second place, aka runner-ups, in the 10 semifinal episodes from earlier this season. So let's go ahead and check out that bracket now. Okay, so now over at the first quadrant, taking on the 16-seed Eric, who was awarded second place in the recent Rumble. They got to show down with another devastating spinner, the favorite to win this being 900, who was awarded the 1 seed. And then right down below them, the undercutter of PP3D, who was awarded the 8 seed, who will be taking on the 9-seeded Manta and that powerful flipper. Then over at Quadrant 2, and we got some really exciting ones there. 4 control bots in that quadrant. We'll see the 2-seeded, which was awarded Toxic 2, who is going to take on Beast 2. That one will be an epic battle between 2 great flippers. Then right down below, we'll have the 7-seed Breaker Box and the 10-seed Dystopia. That one should be another battle for the 80s. Then right down below, taking on Big Nipper, who was awarded 4th place in the bracket who concluded tonight. They're going to take on Electric Boogaloo, who was awarded the 3 seed with that devastating vertical spinner. And then right down below, Bullfrog, who won tonight's bracket and won the 11th seed. They have a date with the Axe Spot of Thor in the next episode. Then over in the 4th quadrant, for the 4th seed was Razor and that Crusher, who gave the defending Camp Eruption a serious run for their money. They'll be taking on Micro for their next one, who was awarded 3rd place in the recent bracket here. That should be an interesting battle between two pretty different designs. Then right below there, where the 5 seed was Mute, and that front hinge flipper was going to have a showdown with the vertical spinners of Aftershock, who is the runner-up in the recent bracket. We got 8 matchups that will start next time. 8 matchups that I bet will be very enjoyable to watch, and we're going to see a ton of hard-fought fights because the top 5 in this bracket will all be going to the grand final to join the 10 robots who have already confirmed joining the 11 robots who have already confirmed their spot there. I almost left out Ironhawk 2.1. So this will conclude it for this episode. I will thank you for watching this video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more, because the next episode will be coming soon, and we got 8 more great matchups that I'm sure you will enjoy. Reply down below with who you think are going to win these matchups, and also reply down below who you think will be the 5 robots to move on. Keep in mind that 1 robot in every quadrant will be confirmed to be a spot in there. Basically, the process is going to be the same. The top 4 are going to all get confirmed spots in the grand final, but we'll play it out for a better seed. And then the remaining bit of the top 8, we're going to see a rumble between those 4 robots, but the only difference is only the top robot will get there. So, lots of fun is on the way, and I will hopefully see you next time.